Dylan Gabriel is running out of time in Cleveland, and one coach is already waiting. Of all the teams that didn't need to draft another quarterback in 2026, the Cleveland Browns drafted another quarterback. They already had Shedeur Sanders. They already had DeShawn Watson. They already had Dylan Gabriel. And then they selected Talon Green, a freakish athletic specimen who ran a 4.36 40-yard dash at the combine and posted off-the-charts measurables. 4 quarterbacks, one 53-man roster. And one reality the NFL has never changed. Teams do not carry 4 quarterbacks for long. This is not a debate about who throws the ball best in that room. This is a story about roster math, organizational priorities, and one player who may be quietly running out of time. That player is Dylan Gabriel, the Browns' QB room, and why it cannot stay this way. Right now, Cleveland has 4 quarterbacks competing for, at most, 2 or 3 roster spots. DeShawn Watson is the established starter, at minimum, the highest-paid one on the books. Shedeur Sanders is the high-profile addition drawing national attention every day. Talon Green is the brand-new project carrying elite physical tools. And Dylan Gabriel is the player caught directly in the middle of all of it with no clearly defined lane. That means every quarterback in that building is being evaluated right now. Every throw matters, every practice matters, every meeting matters. The Browns cannot distribute equal reps forever. Coaches cannot split snaps 4 ways indefinitely. At some point, the hierarchy solidifies, priorities become obvious, and someone gets squeezed out. The current evidence points to Gabriel as that someone. The Shedeur effect. When Shedeur Sanders arrived in Cleveland, the temperature in that quarterback room changed instantly. Media coverage shifted, fan attention shifted, internal planning likely shifted too. That is not an assumption. That is how organizations respond to high-profile additions. When one player commands national headlines every single day, the rest of the room gets repositioned accordingly. One analyst who reviewed extensive film on both quarterbacks stated plainly, "There's no way nobody that watched both of their films would say he's better than Shedeur. Can't do it." That same analyst added, "I probably watched over 20 games just to make sure I weren't tripping." The film doesn't support the argument for Gabriel over Sanders. Additionally, Watson reportedly took the majority of snaps during closed practices and, according to sources inside the building, looked phenomenal. Gabriel went from being a viable developmental option to fighting for oxygen in a crowded room. The case for and against Dylan Gabriel. The argument for keeping Gabriel is real and should not be dismissed. He brings a productive college resume, legitimate arm talent, good size, and a playing style that fits Todd Monken's offensive scheme. Notably, every quarterback currently on this roster fits what Monken likes to run. But fitting a system and being prioritized within that system are 2 entirely different things. The case against Gabriel comes down to one word: options. Cleveland has options at every tier of the quarterback depth chart. A potential franchise piece in Sanders, a veteran presence in Watson, and a raw physical project in Green. That leaves Gabriel as the name with the least defined role and the least organizational investment attached to his future. One NFL insider framed the situation as a Kenny Pickett 2.0 scenario. Pickett was brought into Cleveland as an asset and moved when roster priorities shifted and draft capital became part of the conversation. The parallel is difficult to dismiss. "You're not going to get anything for Dylan Gabriel," one analyst stated bluntly. Sometimes players get cut, not because they failed, but because numbers changed. Todd Monken, Talon Green, and the scheme picture. Todd Monken's development track record adds another critical layer to this story. Monken was part of the staff that developed Lamar Jackson into an MVP-caliber quarterback. The belief gaining traction is that Shedeur Sanders under Monken's system carries a very strong chance of reaching that same ceiling. Meanwhile, Talon Green is already being discussed internally as a candidate for a specific package of plays designed around his elite athleticism. Monken has reportedly expressed openness to using Green in situational packages. However, there is a structural problem. When Green enters the game, defenses immediately recognize the formation change and know something is coming. That telegraphing creates a delicate balance coaches will have to manage carefully throughout the season. With Sanders positioned as the future, Watson as the present, and Green as the developmental project with electric traits, Gabriel has no clear ownership of any lane in this room. The signals are already there. NFL teams rarely announce publicly when a player is on the bubble. They praise everyone in press conferences, stay diplomatic at the podium, and keep every option technically open. But, behind closed doors, depth charts are already forming, reps are already being planned, and hard decisions are already being discussed. The warning signs surrounding Gabriel are not subtle at this point. New quarterbacks continue to be added to the roster. Rep distribution and media attention are gravitating toward other names. There is no public excitement anchored specifically to his development. Coaches have addressed him in general terms rather than with concrete, specific development language. A team can like you and still cut you. A coaching staff can respect a player's professionalism and still determine he is the cleanest piece to remove when a roster spot becomes necessary. Quiet names generate the least resistance, and least resistance in a crowded room frequently means first out the door. The Stefanski angle. One coach is already watching. The name surfacing most consistently in connection with a potential Gabriel release is Kevin Stefanski. Coaches love buying low on players they think were miscast elsewhere, and Gabriel fits that profile precisely. Stefanski has built a documented reputation for valuing structure, rhythm, and quarterback efficiency. If he views Gabriel as a player buried by numbers rather than beaten in fair competition, that becomes a low-risk, high-upside acquisition at minimal cost. Sometimes the best thing for a player is not surviving a crowded quarterback room. Sometimes the best thing is escaping it before the damage is done. A quarterback who lands in a cleaner environment, with a simplified depth chart, a single coaching voice, and a development plan built around him, often accelerates faster than one grinding daily for leftover reps and third-team snaps. Hungry players with talent can become dangerous fast, particularly when they carry something to prove. The nightmare scenario for Cleveland. Here is where this gets genuinely uncomfortable for Browns fans. If Gabriel is released during camp and Stefanski moves quickly, the timeline that follows is painful to walk through. Gabriel gets structure. Gabriel gets real, consistent reps. Gabriel gets a system designed to let him play fast. The improvement follows. Then 6 months later, the question that never disappears begins circling. Why did Cleveland let him go so easily? NFL history is loaded with this exact story. Players dismissed as expendable, pushed out for fresher names, who then found the right environment and never looked back. Dylan Gabriel may already need a new team more than Cleveland needs him. That is the most direct and honest assessment of where this situation currently stands. Narratives in this league do not take long to flip. One season in the right situation can reframe everything people thought they knew about a player. What Gabriel can still control. Gabriel is not finished. The margin is thin, but it is real. A sharp training camp, efficient throws, clean decision-making, command in the huddle, and composure under pressure during live reps can still force the Browns to pause before making a move. Sometimes all a player needs one strong stretch to change internal opinions. The problem is, the window is narrowing by the day. Every rep distributed to another quarterback is a rep Gabriel does not receive. Every day without a defining performance brings a front office decision one step closer. Every upcoming snap is an audition, not just for Cleveland, but for every team monitoring the waiver wire. Overlooked players carry edge. Edge can become growth. Growth can become production. And production changes narratives fast. The Browns have decisions to make. Gabriel has work to do. And somewhere, a coach may already be clearing roster space.